Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Whew, we are getting down to the last part of the year. I am connecting my phone for IG. And then we will be making sure that we are live on all platforms and ready to go. Awesome. Pop that out here. We are so close to the end of the year and so close to Christmas, a holiday that a lot of folks do celebrate and means quite a bit for them. So I'm sure there's a lot of feelings and things that are coming up for people. All right. And we are now live on the Instagram too. So, oh, I guess I need to hit record. Now there's always one more thing that should happen, that needs to happen. Let's see. Good morning, everyone. This is Dr. Z. Hey, good morning. I am Dr. Z Gross, Dr. Z of Greater Self LLC. We are here this morning with our Freedom Tea Talks. And yes, for my voice, there's definitely been a little bit of things going on with all of those lovely things going on in the world. I am at least able to jump on here today so we can have a little conversation, have a little discussion this morning. Good morning. And I wanted to jump on here today as we're closing out the year, and who knows what next week is going to look like, and just start to share some of the things that people might assume that if you are a provider of services, especially someone that is a therapist, that there are assumptions when you go into the field that you absolutely have to do ... I would venture to say in the audience, what might be some of those things that you all would think of that people make the assumption that, oh, if you provide services, then you for sure have to see whoever shows up, that you have to maybe be an expert in everything that that's around. And I'm speaking specifically to therapy, and this still can translate to other businesses because I'm sure everyone has specializations. If you're a massage therapist, if you do real estate, like there may be certain things that you do that you're really great at, those in your niche, like you're in your zone. Those are your people. Those are the things that you like. You love it. It feels good for you. And you ensure that you show up and show out in those areas. However, people still may come to you and they are looking for something else because they may like you. They may want you to show up and be and do that version of whatever it is they're looking for. There's a part where you want to say, gosh, thank you. This is such an honor and a privilege that you would want me to do this. And there's this other space where there is an assumption initially, especially when you go into fields, that you're supposed to help everyone in every way possible. Hopefully, just even hearing that sounds like a lot, because it is. What would that look like if you attempted to specialize in every single thing possible? Could you imagine your medical doctor? Maybe your neurologist. Would you expect that your neurologist would also be your gynecologist and also specialize in rare blood disorders and have studied more about hematology when clearly it says neurologist? No, we don't expect that. But yet in other fields, unfortunately, folks come to us and they assume that because we have a title of ... service provider providing these specific services, good morning, that because we do, therefore we should be able to help everyone all the time, even to the extent that when you may show up at if you work for a company, that everyone that walks through the door, if you have space on the caseload, then you for sure have to take the next person. While there's definitely a thin line between that, because if you do work for an organization, there's an expectation, and ideally They are only attracting folks that are in a specific type of field. But good morning, when people, I see lovely folks that I got to meet at like an awesome conference, and then people I've worked with and folks I can't wait to work with. But when you work for an organization, ideally, they have honed in on who it is that they work with, so that, fingers crossed, you only end up with clients that you will be able to serve most fully. That when you show up at work, if you get a new person on your caseload, the person you're going to be receiving is going to be someone that is in alignment with the current expertise that you may be going with. With that being said, you can find that sometimes as you're exploring, especially when you're earlier in your career, do try everything, but there comes a point where you recognize like, okay, I have a bias, or there's like some feelings that I have going on with this particular population or this particular service that you may not feel comfortable providing services for. And it can be because it's something that maybe is really too close to home for you. It may be something that you're still working on or resolving, or you just blatantly know you have zero interest whatsoever in working with that population. And just the ideal of it, like, makes you question your whole everything. So one of the myths that I want to bust is that, no, just because you provide a service, like I said, therapist, real estate, I would jump to say teacher, but that might be doing a little too much. Even though there are specialized teachers for things, but no, you don't have to serve every single person that walks through your door, which leads us to another one. When you recognize that you're not able to provide a service for a person, do you still keep trying to do it? Or do you make a point in letting people know that you aren't able to provide this service? And if that's what comes up, I'm just wondering, how have some of you skillfully let someone know that you're not going to be able to support them in their process because this isn't an area where you can support them most effectively? Not that you're ineffective, but you're aware that this requires someone that has a different capacity than maybe you are in a space to show up in. So for instance, I'm sure you all can hear like my voice is a little bit off. So imagine, let's just say I'm sick, like I am like super sick. It wouldn't be in my best interest to attempt to go show up to a place that I would physically need to be present and active and engaging with people if I am not able to keep food down or not able to walk most fully, and they have obstacles and stairs and like just different things. And maybe even, to be more specific, for me as a therapist, younger children, if I am actually sick and have some chronic things going on, I would not put myself in a position to work with smaller, super active little people, because that wouldn't support me or them. It will put both of us at a detriment. So could I possibly work with them? Yes, they may be someone that I could, but I've chosen not to work with that population. And secondly, knowing that I can't, I would want to share that with whomever, whether it's a supervisor, whether it's a person making a referral for private services, so that they're not expecting me personally to show up, be, and do something that I've come to a space of understanding. I won't be the most greatest version of myself, which means they're not going to get the greatest version of the service, which then leads to people having some feelings or experiences. So I'm just wondering, has anyone ever heard about, or had for themselves a horrible experience of getting services from someone? And like I said, I'm just going to go specifically to therapists. Have you ever, unfortunately, especially if you are one, if you provide the service, have you ever, and I won't say received bad service from a therapist, but therapist or supervisor? There we go. Everyone's maybe had a supervisor at some point in time, but there wasn't a connection. It wasn't a good fit. Some things just did not, it didn't work for whatever the reasons were. It just did not. And that person may or may not have been able to say to you, this isn't a good fit and it isn't working, which meant you still kept showing up, fingers crossed, hoping something would be different, to maybe move into a space of, maybe I'm not interested in the service, interested in working in this field with this company, with this person, with people like this person. And now we've created a whole nother unfortunate, uncomfortable experience that would lead to stereotypes about specific service providers not being accessible or helpful or ideal. Wouldn't it be horrible to realize that maybe we individually might have done that just because we weren't able to take a moment to recognize and even give ourselves permission to understand that just because you are licensed or have studied extensively in a field doesn't mean that you have to serve every person and that you have to take on every and any person just because of it, and that you can pivot, you can navigate and switch and change who it is that you like to be providing services for, and then make sure that you're equipped to do so. So as those things happen and change, you're able to start to articulate, I may not be a good fit. These are the people I like to work with. This is the modality I like to work in. And these are the ways that I can ensure that I can help you get to your next level or to get your needs met. If this isn't you, I may not be a good fit, so that I am not a contributor to a poor experience of the service being provided. And definitely a tea day, getting all the honey in for today. In this moment, and anybody from any of the platforms, just wondering, in this moment, are you able to notice, or maybe notice the time where you might have really attempted to help from a genuine space, to recognize that maybe it might have been better if you were able to not, or to transfer them to someone else, or recognize that this isn't a good space for you. And I know for sure for therapists, there's definitely a space where people that like working with children really like working with children. And there's a space where people that do not, they really, really do not. So when they are put in those situations, will you learn something? Totally. However, fingers crossed, the people that you're working with are very forgiving and give you space to, but it could be causing the beginning of someone's poor experience that could make, and I'm just going to segue into the holidays, because this is a time of year where people do tend to find themselves reprocessing and rethinking over things as years come to an end, and they're looking at, what do I want to do for my life? Last week, the awesome retreat that was set up turned into someone getting blessed with an amazing VIP day, which allowed for way deeper information to be sought after and fine-tuned for that one person. But the only way that that would even have been possible was for me to still recognize that no matter what, showing up was still going to make a difference, and showing up for what I knew that I could provide. Now, had I not known what I was doing or felt confident or comfortable, let's say I tried it and it was horrible, which it wasn't. I would have had valuable information to know for the future, yes, do it again or never do it again. So final results, definitely going to be offering VIP days in the future, and can't wait to record some specific things to maybe make it a little easier for people to access stuff on their own when they're looking at how they want to set up this next year. Closing out the end of a calendar year, fiscal year, and even looking at every month and even every quarter. What am I doing? Why am I doing it? And is it working for me? Brings us back around to, are you providing services to the people that you want to be serving? If you're not, do you have a plan on how you can start to transition to do that? If you're not there yet, or you didn't even realize, wait, I don't have to serve everyone. And I know last week when we were had our special guest on, conversations that she and I have had, like, that was such an aha moment to know oh my gosh, I can help everyone, but I can choose to help a specific population like as fully as possible for all the reasons that they hold a special space in your heart and allow you to show up in the best version of you. As you all are closing out this year, I am hoping that whether you celebrate Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, any of the different holidays or things that are coming up. So I am not disregarding anyone, but all of them, that you're finding a special space, an opportunity for yourself to look at, who do I want to be caring for? I hope it starts with you. And then from there, the overflow is what everybody else gets. And it's so abundant that people can't help but still want to be around you, because you are like making sure you're so solid that just being around you is literally a blessing for others. And while that may be hard, because again, I do know the holiday season tends to bring up things, tends to put people in a space where they're maybe recalling past experiences, folks that are no longer accessible for multiple reasons. And I hope that in the midst of that, you have the space and opportunity to appreciate the things that really did go well historically in your life. And those that didn't, you can find the silver lining that allows you to feel not better, like, oh, get over it, because that's not real, but allows you to experience feeling cared for, feeling like you're still worthy, it's still worth it. And because of it, you do get to be here. You do have the opportunity to explore what your holiday season will look like, what things you might be wanting to change so that it does work for you and it works for how you want to show up. And I appreciate that. We're out here buying badges, therapists supporting therapists out here. I appreciate you so much, Alicia. We have to connect anyways, but that's a whole nother thing. I hope that you all are giving to yourself and really giving yourself the opportunity to not allow things that may have negatively impacted you prevent you from still setting those boundaries, for still showing up and making sure that you can be the greatest version of yourself, despite what has happened, what's going to happen, and what unforeseen future is coming up. Next week, fingers crossed, I have not fully invested in my vacation, and I will also be here next Tuesday and Thursday, but I'm telling you, next week, I think it's probably that Thursday. From that Thursday on, I will be taking off the rest of the year. I last year started with taking off the first week of the year and found that was super, super helpful to me. It may or may not be too late for some of you all to make those changes, but I encourage you all, if you aren't already on vacation, definitely start moving towards getting on vacation and giving yourself a whole break from every single thing that you are attached to, affiliated with, responsible for, and just exist, actually show up thriving and moving to that greater version of yourself, because you're able to just sit and hold space for you. You're able to not still be obligating yourself to show up and do things for other people. And the first week of the year, I think because everybody's so excited to like start the new year, it felt really good to be off, because I could slow down and back up and have a view of, okay, so how is this year unfolding, so that I make sure that what I'm doing next is still in alignment with what I set at the end of this year for the next year. So that first week of January, pretty sure there will not be any tea talks, because I will be breaking. Now, if you happen to see me on social media and I'm showing out or showing how I'm doing absolutely nothing in probably beautiful places and at home, feel free to join and share back with me. But otherwise, I hope you all are having a great holiday, that you have a great experience that you cultivate for the holidays, and that I will see you next week, see you in the new year, and that you all have an amazing day. And if no one has any questions, thoughts, or concerns, I look forward to seeing you all next week, and hope you all have an awesome day. Thank you, Alicia. You're just full of all the love this morning. I'm so appreciating it. If I could figure out how to quickly type and text at the same time, I could actually put it back in the comments. So I just have to say it out loud. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, no, I'll share that next week. Keep a little something for the extra. So with that, just to value you all's time, have an amazing day, and I will see you all next week. Bye.